Well, a lot of songwriters that I have known eventually write a song about where they grew up. I don't know why that is, but this is my where I come from song. So this is where I grew up. As Steve mentioned, I grew up in southern West Virginia in a little coal mining community right on the West Virginia-Kentucky border. And it was a 4-mile stretch of road tucked in between some of those beautiful West Virginia hills. And where I grew up, we called that a holler. Anybody ever heard that term?
Yep.
Okay, not like holler, like, I mean holler like, a little valley in the mountains. So, and the name of that little holler was Chattaroy Holler. And the closest town was Williamson, West Virginia, about 12 miles away. So that when we wanted to go to town, we'd go to Williamson. But I had 79 people in my graduating class, probably 300 in the entire high school, And where I grew up and when I grew up, I'm so thankful for it, because when I look back, and I don't think I'm just romanticizing it, but when I look back on my growing up years, it really does remind me of Mayberry. Really. I mean, you knew your neighbors 2 miles either way. My mama lived across the street, my Uncle Glenn, my dad's brother lived next door, Lace and Shirley lived the next house up, and you just knew, it was the kind of place where you could trick or treat safely, because you knew everybody. I was born March 19th, 1964 in Williamson Memorial Hospital. And when I was growing up, we didn't lock our doors and didn't lock your cars, didn't need to. You couldn't get away with much because somebody knew your dad or your mom, or they worked with your mom or something. So, you couldn't hide much. I vividly remember summers. I would get on my bike in the morning and I would ride 2 or 3 miles down the road to play with some buddies. Now, you wouldn't encourage that today. It's a different world, but then I would take off and I'd be gone until dark. And my mom would say, or dad would say, no, you can be gone all day, but when these street lights come on, anybody get that speech when you were growing up? If you're not home by the time these street lights come on, you better be getting home, because you better be home before dark. We had a phone in the kitchen on the wall, and it was a landline. You remember those? Yeah. More than that, it was a party line. Remember that? We shared it with my Uncle Glenn next door. So you picked up the phone. Those are the days the phone rang, you had to pick it up, and you had no idea who it was until you answered. But if you might pick it up, and Glenn would be on the phone talking, and you'd just have to wait till he was done, because you shared that phone line. But anyway, I grew up just playing in the creek and in the woods behind our hills, and I'm just so thankful for it. There's probably only a few thousand people in the history of ever that have grown up in Chattaroy, West Virginia, and I'm so thankful to be one of those. So this is all about where I came from, and every single lyric of this is true for me, my growing up experience. I know you probably didn't grow up in Chattaroy, but if you grew up in a small town, maybe this will remind you of some of the things you experienced growing up. So anyway, this is all about that little piece of real estate in southern West Virginia where I grew up. And not surprisingly, this song is called Chattaroy Holler. Picnics at Kewanee Park, riding bikes till it got too dark. Hillsides covered in dogwood blue. Sunday best for the Friday dance. Our yellow jackets were county champs. Caddy golf and pizza from Walnut Room. Down the road from that abandoned mine, 'cause that schoolhouse we attended K through 9. In that 4-mile valley between those hills, coal dust gathered on the windowsills. Your neighbor would give you his last dollar. We had to look straight up just to see the sun from a home place out on rural Route 1. Cut grass for a drink of cold well water in Chattaroy Holler. Chattaroy Holler. Catch crawdads in Buffalo Creek, help Mamaw string a bushel of beans, bottle rockets on the 4th of July. lightning bugs in a mayonnaise jar, sitting on the porch playing guitar. Everybody waved as they drove by, and restaurants served up burgers, pinball, and cokes. To some of the world's best come in, how you been, country folks? In that 4-mile valley between those hills, coal dust gathered on the windowsills, and your neighbor would give you his last dollar. And there wasn't much wrong that couldn't get fixed with a King James Bible or a hickory switch. Long summer days and homemade cherry cobbler in Chattaroy and Holler. Chattaroy and holler at me the next time you go back, and then give me 15 minutes to pack. Yeah. Four-wheelers kicking up a little weekend dirt, Slater's Market and a one-room Christian church. They still talk about that flood in '77 that washed away a piece of almost heaven. In that 4-mile valley between those hills, coal dust gathered on the windowsills. Your neighbor would give you his last dollar. We'd have to look straight up just to see the sun from the home place out on Route 1. Cut grass for a drink, cold, well warm in Chattaroy.